No fader. All my sounds all good. Oh my god, I got a black screen. Yeah, we're back. I have a surprise. I hope it works. What did I... You're asking me what the plan is for today. I have no plan. Just see how this goes. A surprise, you say? Yeah, I don't know how this is gonna work. Or we can just see. Yeah. Okay, I'm really big. But you know what? I kind of vibe with that. Hello! Where am I waving? It is actually a little bit warm. I'm gonna just go turn down the heat. High five, Sherry. High five. High five. Let me just get up quickly to turn down the heat a bit and open maybe a window. Oh, my model went as well. There we go. Unk stream. What do you mean unk stream? Can you read? It says uni. That's uni. They already called old. No. I'm not old. Look, just because I'm in education does not make me old. Okay. You may be wondering what the plan is, and I don't even know myself. I don't know where today went. The weather has been absolutely dreadful. I read Unk Work when I joined. Unk Work. I have this book. It's called The Dynamics of Delight, Architecture and Aesthetics. And I borrowed it from the library a while ago. I should also go and get my notebook. Where is it? That's where I also have some. Okay. I keep turning off the camera because I'm like wary. What if I knowing how clumsy I am, what if I just mess up? I've got some random papers in my book from collaborative practice EU. I don't need these. Show us bottle. Thank you for the hydrate. Is my really old crusty bottle? Oh god, it's not sealed properly. You did not see that. Here's my bottle. Big bottle, thank you. It used to have very beautiful foxes on it, but now it's a bit run down. Nobody tell the library that I spilled a bit of water, okay? That didn't happen. I had some issues last time I worked on this module because I didn't know where to go. Okay. Maybe. I'm just gonna raise my chair up a bit so I don't... I just raised it down. Hold on. So I don't shrimp. Okay, I'm really high up now. Okay. Stretch. Okay. It's a bit early, but thank you. I stretched. So this is notes that I hastily took last time I even had the dissertation meeting. When was it? God. This is on the 23rd. That was a while ago. Not me distracting you from your uni work. Joke's on you, I'm distracting myself from my uni work. So I think as long as we even get something useful out of today, I'll be happy. Oh yeah, those are the stuff I've had pre-talk. And this is the stuff I had. And then I had another lecture that this is all I took notes of. This area here. That's how bad that lecture was. It was about motivations. Hearts. Heart. Yeah, that was a heart. I need to make my definitions more exact. Simplify the argument. Intention of designer or the effect the aspect. Okay, so I need to design if I'm I need to decide if I'm actually talking about the intention of the designer or the effect the atmosphere has on a person. Because I think that's where my discussion was straying a bit. Feminism, modernism. Okay, so I need to look at the different philosophies. Ring ring. Hello there. Regarding the student, she spilled some water on the book. No, no, please. I want to extend the deadline because it's expiring on the 30th. I want to extend after that as well. I don't even know when this is due in. Should we start with actually looking at when I have to hand this in? It's an essay, but I haven't actually checked. Let me go to my module tab. I hate that it's quite a short essay, because that means I have to be very precise about what I write. Oh, that is not the right tab. Six announcements I haven't read. I've done the progress review. Email your draft to your supervisor. Draft text, chapter/section 1, which has developed since progress point 1. The argument should be emerging more strongly, reading is more focused, direction towards a conclusion, maybe. I'll worry about that afterwards. I think today I'm just gonna gather some stuff. This book. Because I've been reading it through my lectures, but... Oh my god, I keep going into my VTube studio. I'm great at using technology. When is it actually due? Does it actually tell me? Assessments? Wait, they do not have the dates? Markings? Points? Maybe I should look at... Where's the module handbook? They changed the design of the platform that we use. Fortunately, it was only a tiny amount, so it's fine. The possibility remains that she somehow gets it very wet, though. It only takes me going, like, outside for 2 seconds, and this book will be destroyed, this poor book. Where's the module handbook? Module information. Introduction. There we are. Handbook. Do you have a date for me? Why can I not see it? Your dissertation must be submitted before the 6th of January. Okay. We got some time. Yeah. That's not that bad. Sweet clumsy vampire. Ooh. I don't know how my uni would take to that. They'd be like, what? We don't have vampires in our school. So I think I'll just take what I said in these notes into account and maybe take some. Clarity on what you want to do, proof hypothesis, research done, likely before. Okay. Where I stand versus what angle? My notes are all over the place for this. My cat be snoring. Aww. I don't know. Have I ever heard a cat snoring before? I don't think I have. I've heard dogs snore. And personal hypothesis. Okay. I said it. It's a bit crinkly, but I think it's fine. I mean, these books have seen worse. I started taking some notes. Actually, this idea of delight shows up in multiple works. She grandma age is fine. Aww. Okay. I did start taking some notes here. I only have one thing that I wrote. That is, buildings and cities only survive if we value them and wage a constant war on their behalf against entropy. Ah, yeah, because I was gonna mention entropy as well. That's interesting. And this is like notes of where I left at. I only left at page 14. So, hey, do you think I should not do work and just have some snackies instead? I've got yogurt. I got a Too Good To Go back today. And look what they gave me. It's apple in yogurt. From Pret. Squeaky, squeaky chair I have. So I was at page 14. I will read you some. She'd be 96 in human years. Aww. Cute. I think I should just start from the chapter title. That'll just make it easier. This isn't like I have to, you know, use this book for everything. I'm just gonna like read a bit of it, and it wasn't as easy as the other books, I think. Oh, it's got some pretty interesting chapters that I should look over. But at the same time, I don't know what the chapters mean because they have some very convoluted titles, so don't worry, we will get there. I'm just gonna read. The protean factor. Ooh. During the 1990s, there was increasing interest in what is called protean behavior. By the way, I don't usually read like this, but I think it would be nice. Maybe me reading it aloud might form some interesting discussions, if not with you, then with me in my brain. Proteus was the Greek god who constantly outwitted his enemies by having the ability to change his shape in unpredictable ways. It is the aspect of unpredictability which justifies the link with Greek mythology. In terms of natural selection, there is, it seems, an advantage in being able to behave erratically so that actions are harder to predict. Humans have developed the capacity to think randomly in order to gain competitive advantage. This, it is argued, has been a major factor in human development and creativity. Its roots lie in what has been called Machiavellian intelligence, which refers to the power to predict the actions of others and thereby be able to manipulate them. Creativity relies on the ability to break out of accepted modes and make non-linear connections. It is bound up with lateral thinking as described by Edward de Bono in the 1970s and 80s. At the receiving end, aesthetic perception may in part be a development of the capacity to rapidly adjust to oh, okay, I think that's a good quote. I should take in mind. I think I didn't have much time to write notes on this because I was in another lecture when I was reading these specific pages. Because that lecture sucked. Aesthetic. Also, I'm trying to take pretty notes this time, so I'm more likely to read them. Perception. I'm talking about perception. I think I will stick with my original idea and just speak about... Oof, but... Maybe to clarify, I will speak about perception. The perception of a space. I've got a lot of pages in it. It's 3 types of pages, so my notes are all over the place. Because I think the intentionality is... speaking about both is going to take me a lot more than, what, 5,000 words to let me... Is it 5,000? It's not a lot of words. When you write so fast, it becomes unreadable. Me. And I feel bad if anyone has to ever look at it, because... Like, for example, my exams, when I used to take them, I used to feel bad. Because I write cursive. Aesthetic perception. Every time I don't want to write everything, us. Every time I don't want to write everything, I just put ... Aesthetic perception may in part be a development. Because obviously I have until the 6th of January. I have to go through different processes of iteration. Of the capacity. I lose focus so quick. Should I put glasses on? Do I need glasses? I don't know. Main for capacity. Why am I even writing? A development of the capacity rapidly to adjust. I don't know, it's not making much sense in my brain. To unpredicted actions. By others within. I never think aloud when I write stuff. I lost my thought again. By others within a competitive situation. I think that'll be fun. Some water. Aesthetic perception involves changing frames of reference in order to see the hidden logic and orderliness behind what at first may seem random or strange. One of the selective pressures behind the development of the arts may be as a mechanism for developing mental agility, a way of rehearsing the capacity to change a mindset in the face of novelty and surprise. This leads directly to the mental shake-up, which occurs whenever we are faced with a fairly radical departures from our norm in terms of art and architecture. The shock of the new. It is this protean factor that enables us to adjust our mental models to accommodate such new evocations of art and architecture. As such, it is an essential component of the fabric of aesthetic perception. Aesthetics and cognition, I think that's gonna be interesting. Let me move more to the left so I don't have to change my setup much. The first step in the process of perception involves comparing new information with the accumulated sum of the past experiences that constitute our mental map of the world. Nicholas Humphrey was one of the first to suggest that this process could produce a form of aesthetic response, and so it is appropriate to see cognitive enrichment as the first rung on the aesthetics ladder. The need to fit new information into our mental model of the world. It's the first priority when we encounter an unfamiliar object, like a building or a whole town. Only when our mental reclassification routine has been completed can a second level of aesthetic perception begin to kick in. The level which most art historians and philosophers consider to be the true province of art, namely the response of the senses to the formal properties of an object. You know what, this helps me reading it aloud, not only to understand the text, but also because I'm gonna have to work a bit on my presentation skills and such. And I stumble, and I stutter and stumble so much. To appreciate this first level of aesthetic activity, we need to take a brief look at the mechanism of memory. There is still much to be discovered about the way memory is organized, but enough is known to be able to make the aesthetic connection. Whenever the mind is engaged in the process of recalling stored information, this is considered to be a cognitive aspect of aesthetics. This is being written over 2 millennia, so to speak. The final decade of the 20th century saw an accelerating rate of architectural activity. I can relate horror memories from my school days. Sorry to bring back the trauma. This was in contrast to the end of the first millennium, when the building of churches petered out in expectation of the apocalypse. This means that town dwellers in particular are being confronted at an accelerating rate which changes in the urban landscape. They are constantly having to adjust their mental map or urban schema. This is beneficial provided the pace of change does not overtake the mind's capacity to make the necessary adjustments. Oh, 1 minute breaky. I'll take another sip of water. One of the pioneers of modern memory theory was F.C. Bartlett, who, in the 1920s, argued that, though memories are stored in a serial way, they act as a cohesive whole. He used the term schema to describe the unitary mass of memory information, technically a set of memory nodes linked together under a single broad heading. Applying this concept to the node link structure to buildings and urban configurations, we register buildings and places in a serial way, yet these one after another experiences coalesce to form our built environment schema, which forms the benchmark against which new experiences are charged. Within the schema are numerous divisions relating to building types and urban forms. The need to live in an orderly and predictable world creates the urge to classify things, first into broad groupings, and then into ever finer detail within the groups. For example, the group under the heading church comprises the sum total of experiences of building types. An appropriate term for such a generalized grouping is mnemotype. From mnemosine, the Greek goddess memory. Oh, okay. It was coined by H.F. Bloom in 1963. As you can see, a lot of this terminology regarding the philosophical aspects of aesthetics do emerge from really early on. When we are faced with a new building, it is judged against this unified body of past experiences of buildings in the same broad category. I think that's important to take note of. Because if you walk into a space expecting it to be like any other space that you walked in of the same type, then you already are gonna have a preconceived perception of it. At least in my opinion. If anything, I'm just writing what I think and I'm taking notes to support my arguments, basically. When we are faced with a new building, Jerry's so smart. Me smart? I'm just speaking my thoughts, my silly thoughts, and I'm trying to make sense of them. anything, I think that's adding on to the the complication of this. With a new building, it is judged. So in that term, I guess I could start looking, because I was gonna do a campus study, right? And then I got told, I can't do that. I can't do a survey. That is very sensitive. That is not something they give to undergraduates, nor are we gonna have time for it. So, maybe I can start looking at campuses, or like places to study in universities as a general. Just against this unified body of past experiences. Of buildings in the same broad category. I'm also making sure to write down what page it's from, because I'm gonna forget. If the new building is generally recognizable as falling within a mnemotype category, when the can we stop with this word mnemotype is adjusted to accommodate the novel elements in the building. We can't stop with the word. The mnemotype can be considered as a template with adjustable edges. Each new architectural experiences fractionally changes our perception of the whole spectrum of architecture in much the same way that C.S. Eliot considered every new poem to change the whole corpus of poetry. Is this a Doki Doki reference? However, a building which allegedly belongs to a given mnemotype, but which threatens radically to change the shape of the template, is frequently greeted with hostility and rejected as aberration. This phenomenon was the central theme of Alvin Toffler's definitive work, Future Shock. And I think that's important. I think that's another thing I should know, because what they're saying is that if you already got a building that, so you have this image of the building that you're walking into, you think it's going to be like this, and the building surpasses that or is different than you would expect, then that instigates fear to some extent of the unknown to the person, at least subconsciously. I think that's fair to assume. Building which allegedly I cannot spell allegedly belongs. Where am I reading? Where am I reading? Finding Nemo. Nemo. Belongs. The word is too many times, so I wouldn't know where to look. To a given Nemo. But and look at this language, which threatens. It's very hostile. Radically change the whole. Sorry, no, that's a different. Change the shape of the template. It's frequently greeted with hostility. If you have questions, if you would like me to explain, please do, because that would help me explain it to myself as well. I guess because the end product should be something that you can just give to anyone and they would understand what you're writing about. rejected. As aberration. I don't actually know what aberration means, but it sounds really familiar. Let's find out. What does that mean? A departure from what is normal, usual, or expected, typically an unwelcome one. Okay. So it's something that's very foreign to the person. Can't really comprehend whatever is being said. I don't know how deep we're gonna go into this. I guess in simple terms, what I'm trying to say... Well, I guess that's not the whole point of my dissertation. The whole point is I'm trying to prove that even though we have these preconceived notions of how a space can shape the way you look at it just by being in it, that there also is times when you don't react in a way that it's expected. I'm just here being proud of you. Thank you. And how have fuel to keep going. How does this mental routine qualify to be included in the broad spectrum of aesthetic experience? Because it involves the same drives and generates the same emotions which are central aesthetic experience. Literally, if you want, literally just zonk off. I would not mind being your audiobook. In Genes, Mind and Culture, 1982, Lumsden and Wilson state, the operations of the human mind incorporate 1. The production of concepts, 2. The continuously shifting reclassification of the world. The continuous reclassification of the world is not merely a reflective activity. The human mind is proactive in searching for experiences which prompt incremental reclassification. Surprise is essential. This is the essence of cognitive adaptation. The continuous adjustments of the environment mental model to achieve an ever better fit between expectations and reality, to push back the boundaries of uncertainty. It works because of the mental reward we gain once we have adjusted and enlarged memotypes and schemas to accommodate new information. That is true. I feel like when you start figuring things out about a certain topic, a certain place, anything, you get a reward in your mind from it. To some degree. Buildings are the pressure cookers of cultural change. What does that mean? This is because as artifacts they are large and unavoidable. They frequently challenge the accepted norms and as such stretch the mind and thereby improve what psychologists call the optimum perceptual rate. In other words, our capacity to adjust to novelty and surprise. New interpretations of traditional building types can initially cause pain. Damn. Okay. For many, the most challenging building of the 1970s was Piano and Rogers's Pompidou Center in Paris. I still did not get to go. Figure 1. You got pictures. This was the Centre Pompidou. They're redeveloping, they're making really, really big renovations. So even if I was to go there now, it'd be closed. But whilst I was there, I couldn't go. It was a challenging building. To give you some context, they built it in such a way that it can accommodate very different spaces, such as even concerts. It was like it's a shopping center, right? But the structure is laid out on the inside so you can move it around. You can change the ceiling height, you can change the length of a room, stuff like that. The finished product generated an avalanche of protest. Oh wow, I did not hear much about this part. It violated every preconception of a prestigious public building. It was not what Paris expected of an art gallery. Recently refurbished, it is now the most recently refurbished. When was this book written? It is now the most popular building in France, even outcasting Notre Dame. This is because people gradually come to appreciate how much more it offered in terms of delight and entertainment than traditional galleries. I would like to say, like, it all goes back to Paris. It is much more than a hanging space for pictures. Those who experience it have greatly enriched art gallery monotype. Londoners had their own exposure of future shock when Richard Rogers applied the same engineering/aesthetic rationale to a new headquarters of Lloyd's in the city. Again, the cries of protest, but now it is appreciated as adding sparkle with a complex of much more predictable buildings. Not Paris, right? Right? At the time of writing, the latest building to appear from the Rogers table is the National Assembly of Wales at Cardiff Bay, figure 2. Yeah, I'm showing you the pictures. I am quite behind. Ooh. My internet is not the best. Oh, because I can't see when I'm pointing. Like, look up. Let me go on OBS and do that again. OBS is on the right track. Yeah. You're seeing the me from the past. It is a radical departure from the norm for such buildings, since in concept it is empathetically symbolizes the open government. It promises to be a really elegant addition to the city. Have I gone past this? I can't remember. One of the most daring practices of recent years in the architectural I can't say this word even though it appears in Honkai so much. Firmament is Aslop and Stormer, formerly Aslop, Alsop, whatever that is, and Liao. As the latter, these architects broke through the notoriety barrier with their astonishing government headquarters for Marseille. Oh, it goes back to the French. Le Grand Bleu. It causes us to see local government offices in a new light. Another civic building which is causing pleasurable surprise is the just completed library for the London Borough of Peckham, figure 3. Let me go back into OBS to make sure. In a section, it is an inverted capital L, providing converted space for public events, and its multicolored facade injects joy into one of the most joyless parts of London. That's a funny way to put it. Sometimes writers of these really serious books make me giggle. The most conservative sector of the built environment is speculative housing. At the present time, Britain is the grip of retro chic, especially in terms of nostalgia for the Tudor Golden Age. So, homes like the zero-energy houses in the London Borough of Sutton, see page 156 and 157. I actually opened to it, what the hell? I wish I was joking. Sutton. May take some time to win general acceptance, especially since it is not just an architectural innovation but also a social experiment. The architect most associated at the moment with mold breaking is Frank Gehry. His gravity-defying shapes, as in the Walt Disney Concert Hall, tend to cross the line from architecture to sculpture. Sculpture as a habitat for art achieved is apotheosis in the Guggenheim Museum, Bilbao. Oh my god, these names! What is these? What is this? Despite its architectural daring, it has been almost universally acclaimed, perhaps because it creates such a vibrant counterpoint between the building container and its contents. Maybe it also marks a new age of tolerance towards architectural innovation. How else can one explain the benign attitude of the citizens of Vienna towards the creations of... Okay, Feder, I'm sorry for this one. Friedensreich Hundertwasser? Exclamation mark! These are just few examples of buildings which challenge the status quo and we need them to keep our minds alive. As we come to assimilate them into our schema of urban forms, so we experience the pleasure which comes from overcoming obstacles and broadening our knowledge base. It is an experience which touches the fringes of aesthetic pleasure. If I want to see architecture and infrastructure failure, there's one city in my state that very represents that. Oof. Unfortunately, I'm not writing about it, but I would be interested in seeing it. We talked about stuff going wrong, actually, yesterday in my lecture. You're curious at travel reading? Oh my god. No, I wanna be good at reading. No. Ludwigshafen? We spoke about it because we were talking about changes that can happen and things that it went on from another lecture that we had about things going wrong. And we were talking especially about a school in Scotland that didn't even have, like, it wasn't supervised, I think, enough during the project delivery, and it ended up having bricks fall down from the building because they weren't attached to the cladding well enough right before the students had to do their exams. Peak content. Brutalist architecture took over after the war there. Brutalists. The birth and death place of where did it say? Of former Chancellor Helmut Kohl was from there. Oh my god, my history is coming back to me. Just looking on Wikipedia to see if it's got anything. Industry, yeah. I see. After the wars, you said. Post-war rebuilding. Ludwigshafen was part of the French occupation zone, becoming part of the newly founded Bundesland of Rhineland-Pfalz and thus part of the Federal Republic of Germany. Reconstruction of the devastated city and revival of the economy was supported by the Allies, especially by the American aid. In 1948, the Passengers Committee sent packages of blankets, clothing, food, and medicine to help the residents post-war. In 1956, Ludwigshafen and Rhein and Pasadena, California, became sister cities. Oh. Large parts of the city were ruins and were rebuilt in the architectural style of the 50s and 60s. Most important projects were the Hochstrassen, the revolutionary new main station, several tower blocks and a whole new suburb, the satellite quarter Pfingstweide, north of Endingheim. The city's economic wealth allowed social benefits and institutions to be introduced. The population number reached all-time high in 1970 with more than 180,000 inhabitants, thus surpassing even the capital of Rhineland-Pfalz, Mainz at the time. Wow. Its inner city is a bit dead. I see why. It's interesting because I think tower blocks in the west of Europe versus tower blocks in the eastern Europe are very different. Very, very different. It'll be interesting to see a public reaction to Daniel Libeskind's insertion into the Boiler House site within London Victoria and Albert Museum. Figure 4. Yeah, and 1 minute breaky. Exploring harmony. I keep putting my hair back because it's getting a bit warm. At the heart of the idea of beauty is the concept of harmony, a word we freely use in connection with architecture, but which organizes. I meant to say originates. Hiccups. Originates in music. For decades after the last war, we suffered from the fact that planners completely misunderstood the true meaning of harmony. They took it to mean conformity and even uniformity. So we have those tedious Portland stone-faced reconstructed streets in Plymouth, figure 5, or Sheffield and the clinical austerity in early Milton Keynes. True. I guess true. Harmony does not have to be about that. If they had realized what harmony means in musical terms, things might have been much better. Is this a Sunday from Honkai? For example, in the tonic chord of G major, there is a significant level of clash between the wave profiles of the notes, but the rate of overlap or synchronization exceeds the rate of clash, so order succeeds. Order? It is Sunday! In outweighing complexity. Is this one chord played out? In this one chord, my god, I cannot read. In this one chord is played out the archetypal battle between order and anarchy. Oh my god. Sorry, I'm too brain-rotted for this. I also do not know anything about music. So that's my insight you're gonna get from me. What matters is that there is a significant rate of conflict between consonance and dissonance. Harmony incorporates dissonance, but synchrony outweighs conflict. This idea goes back as I don't think it's as relevant to what I'm writing, especially because I'm going to get into another deeper topic and I can't get into too many deep things, but I'll read it out anyway because I think it's important. This idea goes back at least as far as the medieval scholar Boethius, who defined consonance of harmony or harmony as a unified concordance. I cannot read. Oh my god, I cannot read. Of sounds dissimilar in themselves. Even a single note has harmonic significance, which becomes apparent when we compare an electronically produced note with the same note from a violin. The former is bland, whereas the latter is the product of a combination of sounds. The dominant note is called the fundamental. I'm learning so much more about music than I thought I would. However, other notes are present called the harmonics, which are related to the fundamental in mathematical ratios. Why are we going to maths now? Oh god. The note we hear contains other notes at the interval of an octave. Sorry about that. A fifth and a fourth, and so on. They may be perceived consciously or unconsciously, but the richness of the sound is the outcome of a clash between the fundamental and its harmonic overtones. Conversely, dissonance gains strength in proportion to the extent to which two frequency profiles fail to overlap. Both singers and instrumentalists avoid producing a perfect sustained note, opting instead for the vibrato effect. This involves oscillating between the main note and the pitch slightly below it, producing the throbbing effect. Again, this is adding complexity by introducing an element of dissonance. Okay. This only becomes unpleasant if the oscillation is pronounced as to create confusion as to which is the true note. The mind is repelled by uncertainty, which will not yield to resolution. Finally, a variation on this phenomenon is reverberation. I've heard about this one for acoustics. Music in a great cathedral has a special appeal because of the building's long reverberation time. This means that a note or chord clashes with its predecessors in diminishing strength according to the reverberation time of the space. For example, Liverpool Anglican Cathedral has a reverberation time of about 8 seconds, which can be marvelously exploited by the largest organ in the land. The echo phenomenon adds another level of complexity against which orderliness must compete. The melody line is a dominant, but its chords are sounded against the surviving strains of the preceding chords in declining strength. The result is a measure of clash or discord that adds considerable piquancy to the experience. There is a richness to the tones talis in a great cathedral, which is absent from the concert hall or recording studio. I mean, I will skip over this because I don't think it's that relevant, and quite frankly, I'm not here to learn about music. Aesthetics and the unavoidable variables. Okay. Whilst the main purpose here is to identify the constants which influence aesthetic judgment, we also need to acknowledge the existence of unavoidable variables, and one major variable is the philosophical complexion of the culture in which we operate. Pattern born amid formlessness, that is biology's basic beauty. The battle between uniformity and non-uniformity, or between forces of stability and instability, in nature has a parallel in the bipolar nature of high culture. The arts are a reflection of human nature, or more precisely, the nature of the mind. In the evolution of Western culture, there are clear swings between cultural opposites. At one pole, there is the drive to establish rigid orderliness and eliminate fuzziness and uncertainty. It is reflected in a society which is circumscribed by rules which regulate social behavior as well as the arts. In England, it was the 18th century that this ethos was in the ascendant. What is this now? Zodiac signs? The most reviled word at the time was enthusiasm, since it implied uncontrolled behavior by individuals with unpredictable consequences. This was the Augustan Age, so called because it sought to emulate the values of the golden age of the Emperor Augustus. It all goes back to the Romans. In France, it all goes back to the French. The court painter Lebrun ruled the artistic scene with a rod of iron. In terms of cultural history, it is described as the classic pattern which not unnaturally found its inspiration in classical Greece and Rome. This is about literally classicism and romanticism. I wrote my history essay about this 2 years ago. The opposite to the classics ethos is the romanticism. So I don't think this is much to worry about. From harmony to chaos. There's a tiger. There's a tiger here. On the face of it, a leap too far. But in fact, the link between harmony and chaos theory takes us to the heart of aesthetic perception, which, on a formal level, is connected with the quality of the outcome of interacting shapes, colors, tones, and textures of buildings aside from cognitive meaning. It involves a rather special way of seeing, which may be termed holistic vision. Augusta Treverorum? Huh? That sounds Latin to me. Oh, Roman city. Yeah, it seems like a Roman city from above in structure. Let's see. It is Latin. Often it takes an act of will to stand back from detail in order to take the wider whole. In a built environment, the formal aesthetic resolves down to the two main themes, pattern defined as coherent diversity and the theory of proportion. These themes reflect several overlapping psychological drives in the mind's mission to impose the orderliness on the continual stream of stimuli reaching the brain via the senses. Here, Germany's the oldest city. Ah! That's nice. The need to build up a mental map of the immediate environment, the necessity to create patterns in a related data to reduce the demands on the storage capacity of the brain, the urge to seek out challenges in order to experience the rewards of attaining new heights of orderliness in a perceived world. In its mission to create an orderly world, a favorite strategy of the brain is to identify binary combinations or sects, so as to establish clarity between the dominant and the subordinate in the partnership. This is the essence of the idea of binary harmony, which is the basis of good proportion and the subject of part 2. Whatever that means. Pattern recognition and the incorporation of opposites into a balanced whole, these are the two sides of the coin of aesthetic experience. I will write that down. I think that's a concise way of putting it. We're on page. Snail. Snail was the one that broke due to my long nails. I kept them on for too long. My poor little Pinky. I can't speak. Pattern recognition. And the incorporation. Several of our cities here were founded by Romans. Considering the placements, it makes sense. They've been everywhere, haven't they? In Europe. In mainland Europe. And a bit in Britain as well. Of opposites. to a balance. Pole. These are the two sides of the coin of aesthetic experience. Defining pattern, okay. Because I'm thinking, yes, patterns, but what makes patterns? As stated earlier, the concern of this book is not with biomorphic shapes, but with exploring how the understanding rules of nature may have a bearing on the way we attach aesthetic value to the buildings in townscape. The human mind is genetically attuned to pick out points of affinity within the complex stream of sensory information, reaching the brain because pattern equals redundancy. A pattern is a way of chunking an array of information so that it takes up less attention space. That word's original American usage described a group of linked symbols in long-term memory that can be summed up by a single chunk symbol. It is a way of fitting data which have enough features in common to fall under a common heading. The more the mind can store information in this way, the more free capacity it has available to cope with novelty and surprise. However, I am also bending the usage of chunking to cover the process of perception of aggregating the buildings of architectural features within a scene which have numerous features in common in order to reach an aesthetic judgment. What then do we mean by pattern? That was a long introduction to that, and also my BGM stopped, so let me... Non-linear dynamics or chaos theory can offer insights into our understanding of aesthetic value in architecture and urbanism based in the concept of pattern. There are two kinds of pattern. On one hand, uniform and symmetrical, on the other broken or disjointed. In nature, it is usually the latter that is in evidence. It is how understood that patterns in nature arise... It is now understood that patterns which arise... Oh my god. Out of universal principles rather than the localized properties of chemicals or particles. Patterns are the outcome of deep phenomena, more a consequence of mathematics than physics. Alan Turing devised a formula which determined the distribution of the pattern of stripes on a tiger. He did? I did not know he did that. In another case, Ginzburg-Landau equation describes the way patterns form in chemical systems, superconducting materials, heat, muscle activity, and even in the shape of amoeba. Oh, I can never say this word. Oh my god. Ammonia colonies? I don't know. A limited number of pattern information equations underpin the bewildering array of patterns in nature. They define the order parameter that arises from the battle between uniformity and non-uniformity. There are only a few categories of battle. The mathematician Professor Ian Stewart has said, something in the human mind is attracted to symmetry. However, perfect symmetry is repetitive and predictable, and our minds like surprises, so we often consider imperfect symmetry to be more beautiful than exact mathematical symmetry. Nature also seems to be dissatisfied with too much symmetry. That's interesting. That just makes the point even more defined, I guess. This is echoed by Frank Close in the Rutherford Appleton laboratory. Snowflakes! Some shapes. But yeah, basically this is talking about patterns. Snow. This is more useful for my studio than this dissertation, so that's why I'm skipping it. But it's a good point for me to bring, because I used the cell structure of a sunflower to inform my master plan. And when they ask me why again, I'm gonna say, because it's more pleasing to the mind. The cultural hub of my region, Bad Kreuznach, has these houses on a bridge. A living bridge? That's what I'm kind of thinking about doing. From nature to artifacts. Where's the book's chapters? See if there's anything more of note. Entropic architecture in Stuttgart, 146, 140. Never mind. Text index, but do I have? Do I have the actual? Here we go. The Parthenon and the sunflower. The sunflower comes back to me as well. Numerology. I think dynamics. 216 is an aesthetic performance checklist. I think this goes into a lot of detail, which is good if you're thinking about using it for such thing, but I'm not. Oh, who bent you? No, who bent you? Complexity. The rate of eye-level interest. Shops, pavements. This is in the city. Serving cafes, arcades. Architectural interest. Aesthetic rating of the sum of the buildings. A quality of coherent diversity. Because this is also on a really complex, big scale, and I want to focus more on interior aesthetics. Because I think for my word count, it's better. It's not a big essay that I have to write. Okay. We have any conclusion? Aesthetics as therapy. Ooh, the ethical dimension. I think we can read this one for now. And from that point on, I will go into defining what I need to define. Architecture has long been associated with a purpose beyond the utilitarian. Asa Briggs speaks of the enrichment of human culture. The Lord Escher architecture is involved in the diffusion of joy and the effecting of reconciliation, which implies that there is a value to architecture beyond the practically useful. There is a long tradition of attaching a moral component to architecture, never more so than in the Middle Ages. Though the twin mediums of sacred geometry and divine light, medieval cathedral architects sought to communicate the laws of harmony which underpin creation. Experiencing the God-given proportions washed by divine light, the worshipper gained a preview of the courts of heaven, which awaited the righteous. Sculpted capitals and the Great West Tympanium vividly portrayed the pains of hell to those who were not on message. The flavor of this worldview was picked up in the 19th century by N.A.W. Pugin, for whom the early English style of Gothic was the word made stone. His justification was that this style emerged from the crucible of Christianity, whereas classical architecture was born of paganism, and therefore can be rejected as an appropriate style for churches. I see. Okay, interesting point. Morality infiltrated architecture in the first half of the 20th century. Leading the initiative was Sir Nicholas Pevsner, who left his native Leipzig in favor of England. Architecture became the principal weapon in the crusade to transform society and as such carried considerable social and political baggage. Architecture is the effective instrument of good society. Therefore, architects are the right guides and social promulgators of political ideals. And the ethical necessity of a new architecture can no longer be called into doubt. In this new era, individual imagination must be surpassed so that the architect becomes the conduit for the physical expression of the spirit of the age. Western philosophy is summed up by Watkins. The real architecture will be essentially a socialist in character. A consequence of its socialist character is that it will dominate totally all individual life, and it will not be possible to diverge from it since the art of the 20th century. Uomini breaky. Okay. I think I've gained most that I need from this book, to be fair. There might be more that we need to go into detail, so... I'm just gonna turn off the camera, because I'm gonna need my laptop closer. So I can write down some stuff now. Into actual computer notes. Did we enjoy the reading? I'm gonna do a little stretchy. Oh, my back. Oh, I'm EP. But if anything, that reading kind of helped me bring back myself into this topic, because I haven't touched dissertation in so long, I won't lie. I might have some yogurt whilst we're at it as well. It smells so good. Ooh. The bits of apple are so cute. It's green apple and it's so sour. I love it. I love Too Good To Go. Okay. So, what I was meant to have done this week. Draft text, chapter/section 1, which has developed since progress point 1. The argument should be emerging more strongly, reading more focused, direction towards a conclusion may be emerging. Let's see. I love yogurt. Do you like yogurt? If it's like the especially the fancy ones. It's got like a sweet cinnamon syrup at the bottom. Oh my god. For medieval vibes, I'll name one gem. Meisenheim? Let me look it up. I didn't actually copy that. Oh my god. Of course, I like yogurt. Yippee. Let's see. This is so good. Oh my god, I love Pret. Let me look on the map. Where am I looking? Okay. I see a lot of Anglo-Saxon types of houses. There's a lot of stuff that states people who ruled over it, and there's a lot of question marks in there. Wikipedia is such a great place. It's interesting. So, looking at this is what I had written before. Sorry. I took yogurt again, it's so good. I'll open my Google Docs in the meantime. The title I had previously was Intentionality versus Perception, the extent to which designed atmospheres fail to deliver their intended effects. But I think I should restructure that. Of course, my title will change a lot until the end anyway. So instead of focusing on both, I'm just gonna focus on perception more because there's so much material out there. I'm gonna mix it all together actually. Give it a good stir. I can't remember, I think I still have an apple somewhere in the kitchen that needs eating. And I was thinking maybe I can put it in the oven. Some cinnamon. Oh, I cooked yesterday as well. I cooked a lot of potatoes. I never cut that many potatoes for one meal because I was cooking for 4 people this time. And I'm not used to it. So, let me go back to the notes I have. The advice. Just taking some sorry. Just to clear my head a bit, because it doesn't have to be too extreme. It just needs to show that I have made a little bit of progress. And he called them schools of thought. I never thought that they would call that. Like the different types of philosophies that we have. There's modernism, like modernist feminists, existentialists, and so on and so forth. Rich history in regions here, but tourism is like whatever. You mean like it's not really visited much? Because if that's the case, maybe you just need a viral TikTok. No? Or is it like tourism took over and dumbed it down? Not much visitors. Other places and areas in Germany are more visited. That's very strange. I think you just need the really viral TikTok. I think as a general, tourism nowadays made places that were easily accessible or rich in culture and everything else. They made them a lot more commodified and gentrified and expensive for no reason. There was like a market in London, I can't remember the name that I've heard of, that apparently used to be really decent, and then they started handing out like a lot of foods and stuff that's really, you know, really Instagrammable. And since then it's become overcrowded, prices have gone up, the places that some of the places that were there had to move out because they weren't getting as many customers as such, or I don't know. I mean, having no masses of tourists is kind of a plus. Yeah. There is positives to it. I think it definitely gives a really good boost to the economy. Tourists can be annoying, can't they? Let's say that was a tourist, by the way. Indeed. Right, let me make a new page in my Google Docs. Signed. That was the last time I touched the dissertation. Jesus, 15th of October. Whoa. I can't stop eating the yogurt, it's too good. I got breakfast baguette, like half a baguette, with vegan tomato. That was really nice. Cheese and pickle sandwich, this yogurt, and tuna melt toasty for £4. And that is from Pret. Pret is not cheap. And they're all fresh. Oh, I heard a reading. Thank you for the headband letter. But now I kind of have a hand cam system going on. I can't move it around too much because the thing I'm resting it on is not maybe I can paint my nails on stream at one point. Yeah, I think I should make it something fun. Art on nails with gold as the base color. Art on nails. My nails are not that big. Nor do I have brushes that are that small. Gold? Let me just turn the camera back on to show you what I have. I really don't have that many nail polishes left. Here's my yogurt. The only gold I have so far. It's but it's a hollow gold. You see that? Focusing. It's like a sparkling gold. It looks a lot more gold on my nails. Maybe it's the light is also right. There we go. I have blue. A better sparkling blue with smaller sparkles. Ice is one right. And white, my red dyed as well. I need to get new polishes. My black dyed, my red and black dyed. Can you believe that? So sad. Oh yeah, that's fine. I do like the gold and the blue together, I won't lie. I mean, once I write a bit, I can do my nails. They need a bit of filing because some of them are broken. But the golden one is nice because it's also a little bit clear. So it means that it's not as visible when my nails are chipped. I thought so too, both of them. You know what, I could do both. We do this once I take some notes. Oh, we do this now and then I take the notes afterwards. I think that might be better. This is no urgent work. This is my coming like down relaxing week after the project. And then next week I panic and stress again. Golden blue. I don't think I'm noble. I'm not quite the noble type. But I guess it feels nice to, you know, feel like maybe. File. My poor pinky has suffered. So I'm gonna put the gold over the nails that I know have issues because they're broken. They've grown quite a lot considering when I took off the other nails, I completely cut them short. It's been a while. I used to do Eurovision and nails, but I think the season's starting up soon again. It hasn't already. I think I'm already behind. Started with work, now I'm doing very typical. Okay, I'll start with the gold on the nails that I know need them. I know for sure. I haven't opened these in so long. Hope they're still fine. I think you're fine. You're fine. That one's fine. Uni work. Wow, that is such a lie now. I like how I have. I'm gonna start with this one just because I know it's broken. The little one. I like how I have my work, my yogurt, and then nail polish. This is like one. And this thumb is also breaking. I should go get more nail polish. I need another black. I can't live without the black. Should I just do matchy? I think I should. This one's really nice. Tap it on. can hear people's conversation. Hear me. You know what my cousin said once? She said a woman is most vulnerable when she just, like, right after she does the nails. She can't touch anything, can't do anything. So the nail. This one I actually have. That's one coat. I did 2 coats of the blue. I don't know about the gold. The gold is pretty nice as is. Thoughts? Wait, where am I holding? It goes now? How many breaky? Like the colors of that cat girl from Stariel. I've been thinking about Cypher for a while actually. She's been on my mind recently. I used her a lot in the newest game mode. That was scary. The wars, the currency wars. I think the gold is fine as is. I'm not usually the best with accuracy when it comes to actually painting them. As my mom would say, it will go away when you wash them. Like when you wash your hands, the stuff that's excess will usually wash away. Corner is a bit. Like squinting to look at them. There we go. I haven't had my nails this short in a while. I'm not used to it, but it's cute. They're cute. Now I just have to wait for them to dry, so who knows how long that will take. This is how I have to operate now. No touching. The truth be told, the gold is already almost dry. The gold dries really quick, which is nice. Okie doke. You know what, like, I could use a break, so I think it's good to complete. I'll take a stretching break and then I'll just transcribe everything that needs to be done and send an email. There's so much work. But yeah, I use this to like do a little bit of work and get back into it. Yeah, I don't know about schedules, but I definitely want to get back into it. So I'll let you know. So here with me. Doing this without touching the nails. It's more imprint if I do it like come on. I will go. And then yeah. That reading, it was good for me, I think. It was really good because I got more used to reading. So hopefully next time I will stumble less. Bye bye!